We've seen players with thousands of games of Pokemon Unite and wonder how they haven't improved much, and often we see ourselves and think, okay, how can I get better? If you actually want to step up your game, the truth is simple. I have 3 must-dos to actually see improvements and track them. I believe in showing you what you're in for before you watch, so here are the 3 must-dos. First is using time effectively. Second is focusing on keeping a small character pool. And third, finally, adapting to games. So let's begin. Firstly, Pokemon Unite is a 10-minute game, which means you get to put yourself in many unique situations per game, and you can play many games. But we actually need to retain the knowledge if we're going to gain anything other than enjoyment or frustration from these games. It's very easy to skip over important details of one game because we are focusing on learning how to play the game itself. The fastest way to learn is to simply embrace reality. Don't run away from the answers which are in front of you. If you're a Cinderace and a Charizard unites you and takes you down a Rayquaza, there are many ways to look at that interaction, but only few are valuable. If you see Charizard Unite is strong into Cinderace, Cinderace can't be united by Charizard Rayquaza, my positioning might be off. These are all very good examples of good knowledge that you're actually going to adjust your gameplay from and learn from. If you see my teammates didn't deny Charizard, Charizard's focusing me, Charizard's playing weird, Charizard's overpowered, you're in the wrong mindset. You aren't learning much from these ideas, and more importantly, you're filling your brain with junk food basically. The metaphor works like this. The junk food, which is in this case the bad thoughts, overwhelm the body, and we don't want to eat any more healthy food, which is the good thoughts, and generally this leads to some negative consequences for the body. We keep thinking on the negatives, and we don't actually get any better. Whenever I'm trying to learn, I try to clear my mind and focus on my play alongside the interactions between my character and the game itself. Doing this to 3 to 5 games a day will lead to gigantic improvements, rather than playing 25 plus games a day and not thinking about anything you might learn. Acknowledge your time spent and you will improve. Every game is a new learning experience, and ensure you put yourself in new situations and attempt new strategies, but actually take the time to reflect if they were good or bad ideas and continue that thought process. So the second point, it's pretty simple. Keep a limited pool of characters. Don't spend your games switching between character to character every game or two. It makes it incredibly difficult for you to develop the muscle memory for the interactions with that character and the game, which in turn leads to you not being able to fully concentrate on the game because you're actually concentrating on the character. You're thinking about playing that character rather than actually focusing on the in-game decisions, which have a lot more value than, like learning, okay, Cinderace uses this move. This point has been made across nearly every MOBA game ever made. If you want to climb, if you want to get better, if you want to learn, you should focus on playing a limited set of characters, perfecting how they work within the game, and then you can actually focus on playing the game instead of that character. If you don't understand what is meant by focusing on the game, it's talking about the micro and macro decisions you make based on the game instead of your character. How you interact with the map, where you should be, when you want to be there, what objective you want to push. These are all points which are hard to focus on when we're thinking about, let's just say, Gardevoir, and thinking, okay, is Gardevoir's Unite escapable with full heal? Just because we don't know that mechanic. When we are thinking about these things, we aren't really thinking at the bigger picture, but the small details, and literally have no time to think about what's important in that specific game. So stick to a small group of characters if you want to work on actually how you play the game. Finally, for our last hint, and probably the greatest one, adapt to the game. I've played about 7,000 games of Pokemon Unite, and at least 500 pro-style matches. And something as I see as the biggest weakness and hindrance to people improving is adaptation to different circumstances. With players coming and going, characters being strong and weak, you need to adapt to not only the game but your opponents. You should not be able to sit in the exact same place as Rayquaza for more than 3 games in a row against top tier players. Being predictable is one of the ways you can cause yourself many losses. This means unpredictability is one of the most valued traits in endgames. Don't be crazy, but see what patterns have been formed throughout the game, and if there's something that you might be able to exploit from your opponents, or something you can change about your own style, which might force something in your favor, give it a try. If I notice a player walking into bushes without checking them, I might look to hide in the bushes prior to Rayquaza to get a jump into them. Likewise, if I see a player checking every single bush, I might look to place myself in weird spots in the bush, or find my way around the fight later, because they might be lowering their guard as the fight goes on. So many of the best players in the world have formed styles and are ready to make adaptations so they can understand weaknesses in their opponents and exploit them. Don't be afraid to try new things. Make sure to acknowledge them as learning opportunities. I hope many more of us can begin to understand how great this game can be when we look at it in that lens. If you want to further understand the game, I do offer professional coaching, and I've coached many students to their Unite goals. Give me a DM on Discord if you would be interested. Thank you all for listening to my takeaways on improvement, and wish you all the very many improvements. See you soon. Suluwu.